members, I should mention. I was formerly in the legislature and formerly on the Burlington Electric Commission. And for those of you who took a tour of the McNeil Biomass Plant, I hope you remind UVM that it should be hooked up to the district heating system that it was built to do, that would help not only UVM but the entire city of Burlington and the state of Vermont.
The manager was intently questioned about that issue.
I'm really glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that that's current. But I'm here actually to talk about what is also current, the wind moratorium issue. So I should mention that I also was the Vermont Outreach Director for Congressman Bernie Sanders then. He's moved on to better things, and I went back to my original work, which was energy research. And I'm going to tell you a very, very quick story, and forgive me if you've heard it before, but my department at NYU was doing research on atmospherics and on energy, traditional and renewable. And way back in the late 70s, we were starting to get very concerned about what we then called the greenhouse effect. That's gone on and made tremendous progress, I'm sorry to say. On the other hand, we were doing renewable energy work, and we've made some progress there. Back then, we did a lot of things, and one of them was we built the ugliest wind turbine ever built in the worst place ever imaginable, the Lower East Side of Manhattan, in a historic district that fought every kind of development, allowed us to put a gigantic and unbelievably ugly wind turbine on top of our historic building so that we could test it. And after doing so, it stayed an extra couple of years because the developer who built it wasn't around anymore to take it down. Eventually we had a windstorm, not unlike tonight, and we had to take it down ourselves at NYU. And by that time, this community said, "Where did our wind turbine go?" They fell in love with it. It was theirs. They were proud of it. And if that can happen there, it can happen anywhere. Now, I work on underwater turbines that nobody sees or hears, so everyone loves them. But there's a story of love, and someone else mentioned love, and I think that's very important. The one thing I want to say about a moratorium is that we're way behind in the state of Vermont. We've had 2 successive administrations of both major parties who were very anti-wind, and we're a decade and a half, 2 decades behind where we ought to be in wind development. One of the things that should have happened then, that would have happened if they weren't so opposed to wind, would have been comprehensive planning in advance. So everybody could be clear, everybody could know what's going to happen, it would be predictable. But we've been pretty good in Vermont about passing environmental protections, but not planning. If we had planning, it would be much easier now, but a moratorium is exactly the wrong thing at this point in time, because a moratorium is useful when there's specific information you're waiting for. We already have more than enough information. We're very, very late. A moratorium would just be an exercise in political power, drawing out the inevitable. Meanwhile, a lot of extra harm being done. So in this case, I would ask you really to come out in opposition to any moratorium. Thank you.
Thanks.